Hello, everybody. And that's the wrong subtitle on the bottom of the screen. This is not Power Flow. This is Hatha Yoga for anxiety management. And I'm joined here by my little buddy, Bhagwan Das. He's a great little teacher. He'll make sure that you're breathing well. So if you forget to breathe, just listen to the sound of whatever breath you can hear, whether it's my breath or a labored pug's breath, and let that be your meditation that you come back to throughout the practice. So if you have some yoga props, that's great. You can use them. If you don't have props, no problem at all. Yoga straps are really useful in today's practice. So if you don't have a strap, you could grab a tea towel or a belt or an old shirt, anything you can easily loop around your foot. It doesn't need to be long at all. And thank you for all the comments coming in about the pug. Yes, he is beautiful. I agree. I birthed him myself. Thank you. So let's meet laying on our backs. If you have yoga blocks, you could choose to lay in supported fish with one block under your shoulder blades and another behind your head. They could both be at the same height, or you can support the head a little higher, up to you. No blocks, no problem. You can simply lay on the floor with your knees bent. I'm going to take advantage of the props myself today. It's one of my favorite poses, and I used to be really tight and have a lot of difficulty in back bending and back pain. So do a variation of this and basically take naps in it. So spending at least a few minutes in this pose. If you're taking a nap, you're working more with like 15, 20 minutes, but a few minutes is a really good start. So for those of you laying on the ground, you can start with your hands resting on the floor next to your hips, bending your knees. And then on a long inhale, whichever pose you're in, lift your arms up to the sky and then towards the back of the mat, so overhead range of motion. And then exhale, reverse the movement, slowly bringing your hands down next to your hips. On a long inhale, lift the arms, reaching up and back. Allow the shoulder blades to lift up. And then as you exhale, reverse the movement, slowly floating the arms down next to the hips. And then continue like that. Work to slow the breath down by gently constricting the back of the throat like a whisper. And then focus on making the exhale even longer. So for those of you on your backs, continue working with straight arms, going up and back. For those of you on the yoga blocks, on the exhale movement, you can explore bending the elbows out to the sides like a W shape, like cactus branches. And then reverse it on the inhale, reaching back again, straightening the arms with our friends. And then exhale, bending the arms, squeezing shoulder blades, open the chest up. And inhale, reaching back. And continue to explore, nice and slow at your own pace. Even if you're not on the yoga blocks, if you're on the floor, this is still a really great way to work with your range of motion. Even laying on the floor, you're still going to find a little bit of the natural curve in the lumbar spine. And then as you resist gravity, you're basically strengthening your shoulder in its full range of motion, even though it's very gentle weight. But gravity can be a little heavy. So this is often surprisingly difficult. So next time you reach the arms back, pause at a sweet spot. So end of that inhale movement, just stay there. Continue to breathe naturally, hovering the arms just above the ground, just barely. So you're in your fairly full range of motion, and you're working to resist gravity, which causes muscles to contract that take the shoulder out of its full range. And this way it's about more than just stretching. It's actually about learning how to activate within full range. A few more breaths. If it's ever too much, you can always come out or reduce the intensity. And then to come out of the pose, you can support your head with one hand if you're on yoga blocks, and then engage your core and roll to one side. Slide the blocks out of the way. And we'll meet laying on our backs again, hugging the knees into the chest, wrap the arms, legs, and gently rock side to side. Massaging the back. Find what feels right. Knees. And we'll set up windshield wipers. Arms out to the sides like wings, palms on the floor. Take the feet a little bit wider than your yoga mat. Now as you exhale, bring both knees over to the left side. And as you inhale, come across the center. Exhale, both knees to the right side. Inhaling, come across the center. Now as you exhale to the left, very gently extend the right hip. You could do that engaging the glutes, the buttock muscles. And then inhale across center. Other side on the exhale, gently extending left hip. You can push through the inner heel to help activate the glute. And then continue. You might feel a nice benefit of massaging the hip against the ground. You may also feel a benefit of stretching in the hips, spine, inner legs, the adductor muscles. Lots of possibilities. Notice what there is to notice. So we'll bring both knees towards the left side now, and this is already a great pose with your feet as wide apart as the mat. Option 2, pick up the left ankle and place it on the outside of the right thigh. Use that ankle to gently press the right thigh towards the floor. If you go too hard, it might not feel good, so back off a little bit, find what feels right. This might create a really nice stretch on the outside of your right hip, so that's your TFL. The top portion of the IT band. It's the part you can actually stretch. IT band, you can't really do anything about that. TFL, you can. And a lot of those aches and pains that we tend to get in the IT band, they can sometimes be reduced by doing exercises that strengthen key muscles in the legs, like your glutes, your quadriceps, your inner thigh muscles. So if you do some cardio and you're not really aware of using your glutes, it's common to feel some IT band pain. A few more breaths. And I'll incorporate some of those exercises into class today. Now we'll come back to center, taking the feet as wide as the mat, and go side to side a few times dynamically. Going left to right, side to side, whatever pace feels right to you. And then we'll commit to the other side again. So we'll take both knees over to the right. You can keep your feet as wide as the mat. Great place to stay. Option 2, pick up the right ankle and bring it outside the left thigh. Gently pressing down. And draw some deep breath from the belly all the way up to the chest, expanding and radiating out through the ribs. And the key to that deep breathing is really following the exhale all the way out. The longer the exhale, the deeper the inhale.
And don't be afraid to make some noise. It's quite good. It'll help keep your mind absorbed into the breath. When I was learning yoga at home, like, 20 years ago or something, I was doing these Brian Kess Power Yoga videos, and my brother saw me practicing in the basement, and instead of telling me good job, he just listened and he was like, hey man, you're not breathing properly. And so my brother actually taught me the breathing technique of Ujjayi, which is this soft ocean sound. And like 20 years later, I still think it's the most important part of the practice. It's what gives you the feedback from what you're experiencing in the body. But it also helps you focus your mind somewhere. It helps to calm the nervous system, flipping out of fight or flight and more into that relaxation response of the parasympathetic nervous system. Less talking, more breathing, Mike. So full exhale, then one more breath in. Full breath out. And try to keep a really smooth sound like that. Inhale back to center, and then go side to side. Keeping a steady breath, whatever pace you go. All right, back to center. This next version of Windshield Wipers involves moving the arms, moving the spine. So take a breath in. Now as you exhale, bring your right hand on top of the left hand, organizing the whole body around that movement. As you inhale, open the right arm up, and then exhale all the way over to the other side. Stack the left hand on top of the right. Inhale, open the left arm. Try to minimize movement elsewhere. And then at full range, let it carry you over, exhaling all the way to the other side. And continue. Inhale to open the right arm up. Slow-mo. Exhale, stretch the breath, stacking the left hand on top of the right. And keep on going at your own pace. Explore. And so we're using gravity as a friend here. The friend is helping to open us up. Thanks, friend. Next time you open up the left arm, go ahead and pause there for a little bit and just breathe. Feel free to make any little adjustments anywhere in the body. You might feel a nice stretch in the chest, a bit of engagement around the core as well. Even as the abdomen stretches, the core can contract, helping to support the lower back and helping to find stillness in the movement. So if you have a friend or family member who's stubborn about not doing yoga or stretching, but likes to golf or play hockey, this would be a good move to give them. Getting this thoracic rotation, spinal twist, really good for opening the chest. Now let's take one more long breath there together. Feel free to open your left arm up quite a bit so it's almost touching the ground. One more breath in. And then transitioning, exhale to the other side, stacking the right hand over the left hand. Make yourself comfortable, and then inhale to open the right arm up. And pause at a sweet spot breathing. Use the core to put the brakes on. And notice what there is to notice. This could be a nice stretch in the hip for some of us as well. Your feet could be together or wide apart. Both ways work. Good. 2 more slow, deep breath. And inhale back to center. Very good. And then windshield wiper the legs side to side, taking the feet as wide as the mat. It's nice, easy movement. So I'll offer you a challenge now. So option 1, don't do the challenge. Stick with windshield wipers dynamically. Option 2 is going to involve connecting with the core. So you can start in the center, draw the front ribs in, lift the feet, and then lift the tail. Lift your sacrum up at the back of the pant line. And just watch me do a few here. So I'm going to bring my knees halfway to the right, looking over my left shoulder, and then curl up through center, lifting sacrum more, and other side, looking over the other shoulder. So it's almost like a figure 8 type of movement with the knees. As you pass through the center, curl in through the core more. We'll go for about 5 rounds each side. So join in anytime, tap out anytime, and return to windshield wipers. It's about halfway there. Knees one way, chin the other way. As you pass through center, curl in and up. And this is working the abdominals, especially the oblique abdominals. Of course, this is great for golfing. It's also good for shoveling the driveway. And I'm sorry I went there. Good. And then we'll meet in the center and place the feet on the floor, about hip width apart. Heels a few inches in front of the buttocks. And then relax, arms at sides. Gently press the back of the skull to the floor, lifting your heart up. And relax. On a long inhale, lift the arms over the head towards the back of the mat. Long exhale, lift the hips up, keeping the legs parallel. Inhale, bring the arms down. And then exhale, lowering through the vertebra. Again, inhale, lift the arms, reaching back. Try to slow the movement. On your exhale, lift the hips. You can engage the core and press your tailbone towards your knees, lengthening the low back. On the inhale, bring the arms down. And on the exhale, lower the spine. Continue at your own pace. Inhale moves the arms. Exhale to move the hips and spine. Inhale, moving the arms, lowering them down. Exhale, hips and spine. And there's no right or wrong. There's just different ways of moving. So feel free to experiment. And last one. Inhale to reach the arms back. Exhale to lift the hips. Now on the inhale, we'll bring the arms down, but then pause in that position. So you could hold the edges of the mat with your hands, and then squeeze your shoulder blades closer. Try to roll your upper arm bones underneath your body more, retracting the scapula. And then imagine trying to pull the mat apart with your hands. And we'll take a few breaths here. Try to roll the shoulders back into the floor. Lift the heart to meet the chin. The chin itself is totally indifferent, it doesn't care, but the heart longs to meet the chin. This way we can honor the natural curve at the back of the neck. On your next exhale, release down, let go. Very good. And then draw your knees in. Bringing your knees towards your shoulders, make some big circles in the hip joints, taking the knees closer and then wider apart. And notice how you can use your hands to help the movement along. You can also do hands-free mode, bringing your hands to your belly. Feel the core activate to help support the hip joint and the low back as you make movements from the muscles around the hips. And then about 5 more, changing the direction of the movement. Now cross your ankles, hold behind your knees, and as you tuck the chin, engage the core, and roll along the length of your spine. If this doesn't feel good on your spine, feel free to skip it. We'll be meeting on all fours in table position. So we'll take the hands forward now, meeting in table. And if you'd like to give your knees some more padding, you can take the middle of the mat and fold it over about 4 inches. So the knees have a triple pad of support now. And then hands to the floor, spread your fingers wide. Push into your hands, spreading the shoulder blades. And then relax the effort, letting the heart come down a little bit. Again, push through, spreading the shoulder blades. And relax, melting the heart, shoulder blades closer. Exhale to push through. Inhale, melt the heart. And a few more. And then exhale, push through. Tail heavy, hands forward. Take a breath in. As you exhale, very slowly move the hips back towards the feet. And then as you inhale, slowly come forwards, pushing into your hands, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, core is on, draw the hips back. And continue with that movement. Inhale forward. Feel free to try different hand positions. Press strong through the upper palm. And try gripping with the fingertips as you come forward. It's really when the shoulder is over the wrist, that's when there's the most stress on the wrist. You want to really grip as if you're trying to squeeze a lemon to make some really nice salad dressing or whatever. Notice how as we come forward, the pelvis naturally will drop a little bit, so that's okay. What you want to avoid is sticking up the butt. So you can engage your core, push your hips towards the floor, and then explore the movement some more. As long as your abs are supporting the movement and it feels good, it's totally good. And then we'll sit back onto the heels. Make some little circles with the wrists. The base of the toes press down, helping to stretch the toes and the soles of the feet. If this is too much, you can lift your hips instead. And then roll your shoulders up and back. Level 2, keep the arms forward just like table, and then roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Shoulders forward, up, back, and down. A few more to go. Try to keep the arms straight. And notice if the movement of the arms changes the feeling in your lower back. So a lot of times when we do draw the arm bones back, it has the effect of arching the lumbar spine. So just be aware of that. If it feels like too much arching and it's painful, what you can do is connect with the core more and press your hips forward using the muscles in the back of the legs, hamstrings and glutes. And one of the keys is that you don't have to work your muscles to full capacity. It's a fairly modest effort to conserve energy. Great, so we'll come back to table position now. Get that feeling of spreading the shoulder blades strong in the core.
And then slowly bring your left leg straight back, right arm straight ahead, and then return to table position. Other side, right leg, left arm, and return to table. And continue. Be sure to keep the core strong as you reach, very slowly breathing in to reach forward, and then exhaling, come back to center. Continue at your own pace. Try to minimize movement elsewhere in the body, so it's mostly just the arm and leg that move. Takes a lot of concentration, actually, to prevent the hips from going side to side. That's part of the fun. If you'd like an extra challenge, you can ask whoever's around to place a filled glass of water on your back. And your challenge is not to spill the water. I don't necessarily recommend it, but a friend of mine did have to do that in physio for a while. All right, we'll come back to the center now. Very good. Now, tucking the toes under, push into your hands, spread your shoulder blades, and allow your knees to come up. And then very slowly place the knees down or hover 5 times. Knees up. If it feels good, you can slowly touch them down. If you'd like more of a challenge, come further forward and then lift. So that's going to challenge the shoulder strength as well as the range of motion in the wrist. Okay, last one. And then we'll lift the hips, walk the hands towards the feet, and come into ragdoll position, bending your knees generously. You can then let your torso relax, hold on to opposite elbows, and just hang loose, let the head and neck dangle. You're welcome to gently sway the body side to side. You can also play with straightening one leg as you lean away from it. If you're feeling really loose, you might straighten both legs for a little bit. Play around. And then bending your knees, very slowly roll up to standing, vertebra by vertebra. And then we'll meet at mountain pose at the top of the mat. I'm just going to face you for your own visual convenience, but you could be at the top of the mat like so. So we'll stand with the feet about hip width apart and play with leaning over one ankle and then the other. Notice with leaning over the ankle, that leg takes more weight. So you can start adding weight to that. As you lean over the left ankle, lift the opposite heel, and vice versa. Now, next time we lean over that left foot, we'll pick up the right heel, bend both knees, and then try lifting your right foot. So if balance is tricky, you could position yourself near a wall or a couch or another human. Pick up your right knee and then make some circles with the hips, with the right hip rather, going in one direction. The benefit of bending the standing leg is it obliges a co-activation of opposing muscle groups around the hip joint, the knee joint, and the ankle, whereas it's easy to lose those with the straighter leg. So I would consider doing this with a straight leg and good muscle tone to be a more advanced skill. Feel free to challenge yourself. We'll do 5 more changing directions with that same leg. Very good. And then meet back in mountain. Just take a moment to feel the residue. Come back to your breath. Notice any changes in the heart rate. Long, slow, deep breath. And then we'll switch, leaning over that right ankle. Pick up the left heel. From there, pick up the left foot. Bend your standing leg a little more to create those co-activations of opposing muscles, and then begin to explore, using the wall for support if necessary. And if you'd like to try the straighter leg variation, go for it. Change the rotation direction. 5 more. Whoa. Helps to find a single point of focus somewhere, a point that isn't moving. Very good. And then come back again and relax for a moment, closing the eyes. So as you stand there with your eyes closed, engage the front of your legs, lift and spread your toes, and play with leaning forward towards the toes. And then try leaning back a little bit towards the heels, just making small movements, training that more subtle awareness. So as you go forward into the toes, what you may find is that the muscles around the calves start to engage a little bit more. This is a great way to prevent hyperextending the knee when your leg is straight. But then we're also trying to ground the weight through the heels to cultivate stability from the backs of the thighs, around the hamstrings, and the buttocks. So keeping some weight in the toes, we'll stand with the feet hip width. With an inhale, reach the arms forward, bend your knees. And then as you exhale, come back to standing, arms at sides. And repeat. Inhale, reach forwards, heavy on the heels. Exhale, strong core and buttocks, coming back to standing. And continue. Inhale. Exhale. Reaching straight ahead. Inhale. Exhale. And you can challenge how far you go. Go nice and slow. Very good. Then we'll meet back in standing. And bring your hands together just in front of your heart. Feet about hip width or wider. And very soft touch. Imagine you're holding your own heart in your hands. So there's like an open space through the middle of the palm to hold whatever you want to hold on to. And then with an inhale, lift the arms up. As you exhale, reach the hands below the neck. And repeat. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, reaching hands down the neck. Try to keep your elbows in close to the head before you reach down. And repeat that a few more times. As you exhale, it's also helpful to engage the core and press the hips forward a little bit. Since anytime we reach the arms up, it's natural that our lower backs will bend more, so try to reduce that. Hips forward, core strong. A few more breath-linking movements. And then reaching the hands down, elbows in. We'll pause there. As the elbows hug in towards the head, think of pressing your hands back behind you. Holding your heart in your hands still. And then press the elbows up. Try to relax your neck a little. Draw the ears back over the shoulders. A few more breaths. Breathing into a strong core. And then inhale, reach straight up. And exhale, relax down, arms at sides. Very good. And then take your right arm behind your back. Try squeezing the wrist with the other hand. So squeezing the right wrist, draw the shoulders down. And then as you bring your ear towards your left shoulder, make little movements, lifting the chin a little and lowering it down. Stretching through the right side of the neck. All the while squeezing the right wrist down. And then come back to center. Take the left arm behind the back, squeezing the left wrist, shoulders away from ears. And then bring your right ear down and lift and lower the chin a little bit, going off to the right and then down towards the chest. Good. And then come back to center. So lean into your left foot, pick up the right foot, and then bring it back behind you and off to the left side. So you can try to point that foot, resting the top of the foot down. Your left leg is going to be weight-bearing more. Cool. So that right foot is back and behind you. With an inhale, bring the right arm up, squeezing the right wrist. Exhale, side bend, pulling on that wrist. Lean over to your left, and we'll hang out for about 5 breaths. So you might feel a really nice stretch up the outside of the right hip, continuing up the side of the spine, belly, armpit, into that right shoulder. And then lower your arms down, and with core awareness, slowly come back to standing. And we'll relax for a moment, arms at sides. Take a moment to feel the residue. And then bending both knees, we'll pick up the left foot, bring it back behind you, and then cross the midline, taking it over to the right. You can point the foot, try to stay on the top of it if possible. And then we'll go ahead and lift the heart, grab your left wrist, and side bend, leaning over to the right. Stretching the left side of the spine, especially around the hip and the belly. Two more breaths. And then lowering the arms down, reconnect with both sides of the core, and then come back to standing. That was so good, we'll do it again. Bend the knees, lift your right foot, and then bring it back behind you. Cross the midline, bring it over to the left. From there, take the right arm up, grab the wrist, exhale, side bend, leaning to the left. And breathe. You might even feel a bit of stretch in the front of your right hip, but this is mostly targeting the outer hip. One more deep breath. And exhale, lower the arms, strong core. Come back to center. Bending knees. Take the left foot across the midline and behind you. Grab the left wrist, taking a breath in. Exhale, side bending to the right. And breathe. And then exhale, drawing the ribs in, lower the arms, strong core, and we'll come back to standing at last. Very good. So now we'll take the hands to the wall for wall dog, and you can scrub the hands away from each other so that your index finger is aiming up. And then we walk away from the wall with the legs about hip width. Bend your knees a little bit, push through your arms to straighten them, and draw the hips away from the wall. Inviting a stretch into the armpits, the chest. Try to get your back straight, and then see how it feels to try straightening one leg and then the other. So it's like walking your dog. Whoops, I'm not supposed to say that in the house. But moving the hips side to side. Wagging the tail, I can say that. Just don't want Pugwan to hear me. And then try to find a sweet spot in the center. We'll pause in stillness for 5 more breaths. You can press the heart towards the feet, lift the buttocks a little, and engage the quadriceps. Toes and fingers spread. And then bending your knees, push into your hands, lift your chin. Try to soften the effort a bit in your shoulders. And then we'll make our way off of the wall, walking it in. And then roll your shoulders up and back. So if you have yoga blocks, you can keep one at the front of the mat at the front right corner and the other at the front left corner. If you don't have blocks, no problem. Let's do a really simple sequence here. So as you step your left foot back, the right foot is bearing the most weight. Aim the left foot towards the front left corner of the mat. You may have to adjust the angle of the foot a little bit to get it flat to help with the balance. On an inhale breath, lift the arms up to the sky. Now as you exhale, bend your elbows and bend your front knee. As you inhale, straighten the arms from there, overhead position. Exhale, hands down to the yoga blocks, bowing the head in. This is where you can straighten the leg as an option. Take an inhale to lift your heart halfway. Exhale, bend your right knee. And then come all the way up on the inhale, lift the arms. And then exhale, relax your arms at your sides, straighten the leg. And repeat. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, bend your knee, bend your elbows, hinging forward. Try to keep your back straight. Inhale, reach the arms by the ears, totally straight. Ooh, this is hard. Exhale, hands to the yoga blocks. Option to straighten the right leg and bow in. Inhale, lift the heart halfway. Engage the fronts of the thighs. Exhale, bend your right knee over the ankle. Strong in the core and buttocks. Inhale all the way up to warrior one. Exhale, relax, arms at sides. Last one. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, bend the arms, hinge forward as you bend the front knee as well. Inhale, reach the arms forward. This is the hardest part. Pause here, 3 breaths. If it's too much to reach straight ahead, cactus arms where you can squeeze the shoulder blades instead. You're doing really well. This is super hard stuff. You're almost done. Exhale, hands down to the yoga blocks. Take an inhale to lift the heart halfway. Try to straighten your right leg. And we'll hang out here for about 8 slow breaths. So now is the fun part. Different ways to do it. You can keep your right foot fully on the floor, or you can flex the toes towards the shin to get more into the calf if you prefer. There is also the option to bend the back leg, which can make it a little bit easier to fold over the front leg. So you can play around with it. And that's about 3 breaths. We're going up to 8 in total. So keep on slowing your breath. Maybe there's a stretch in the calf, maybe both calves, maybe the hamstring. Two more breaths. And then planting the right foot if you lifted it. Inhale to lift the heart halfway up only. Exhale, bend your right knee over the ankle, loading up that right glute. Inhale, come all the way up to warrior one. Lift the arms. And exhale, step forward in mountain pose. And take a moment to feel the residue. Close your eyes. Connect in again with your breath. And then leaning into the left foot, we'll step the right foot back, aiming it towards the front right corner of the mat. So again, you can play with the ankle. It may be different one side to the other. All of us are asymmetrical. And then lift your heart up. And with an inhale, lift the arms to the sky. Exhale, cactus arms, bend your front knee and hinge forward over the leg. Now for the hard part, inhale, reach the arms straight ahead. Oh my God. Exhale, hands to blocks, bowing in. Option to straighten the leg.
Inhale, lift the heart halfway.
Exhale, bend your front knee again, loading up the buttock. And then inhale, warrior one, all the way up. Exhale, straighten the legs, relax the arms down. And repeat. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, cactus arms, hinge forward, bending your front knee. Inhale, straight arms, reach forwards. Exhale, hands down, bow towards your knee. Feel free to straighten your leg. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, bend your front knee. Warrior one, inhale, lift the heart, lift the arms. Exhale, relax, arms at sides, straightening the legs. Last one. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, cactus arms, squeezing the shoulder blades, bend the front knee and hinge. So you can stay here, or inhale to reach straight ahead, holding for 3 breaths. The overhead range is a little bit harder to stabilize. 1, 2, and 3. Exhale, hands down. Use the yoga blocks, the floor, a chair, whatever you have. Inhale, lift the heart halfway. Engage the front of your left leg. And then exhale, fold. So on the other side, we looked at the option of flexing toes to shin, back leg bent or straight. Both ways are really good. You might repeat that. I failed to mention last time that you could keep your heart lifted with your legs straight and the foot rooted. And that has a way of strengthening the smaller glute muscles, which are key for hip stability. Or you can simply fold over from there, your choice. That's about 3 breaths. We'll go for a total of 8 again. So I encourage you to close your eyes and focus your awareness completely inwards. I'll bring you out when it's time, but I'll leave you in silence for a little bit. And then lowering that left foot down again. Inhale, lift the heart halfway. Exhale, bend your front knee, engaging through the glutes. Warrior one. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, step forward, mountain pose. And take a resting breath. And then bending your knees, you can take your yoga blocks, and we'll open up to the long side of the mat for a wide-legged fold. So this is an inverted pose, kind of like a headstand, but a much gentler way to get those benefits. So you can place the blocks underneath your hands about shoulder width. They're basically just making your arms longer. And then if it feels pretty easy, you might take the feet a little wider. Inhale, lift the heart, and attempt to straighten the legs. Exhale, bend your elbows, start to fold. If that feels too easy or there's more room to explore, take the blocks to their lowest height or take the hands to the floor. Inhale, relift the heart again, find a straight spine. Exhale, fold to your own comfortable degree. And then pause at a sweet spot. For those of you pressing the hands into the floor, if you do have a yoga block nearby, you may find it nice to place a yoga block underneath your head. Think of the elbows squeezing in towards each other, whichever variation you're doing. And then press the hands towards each other as well. Gentle effort is enough. Breathing like the ocean.
And then inhale, halfway up. Exhale, pause there. So as you lift your heart, you can turn your right foot to the front of the mat and then fold the left edge of the mat over to pad your knee. If you're doing it the inverse, that's fine too. And then as you inhale, bend your front knee to a lunge. As you exhale, lean back a little bit, flexing your toes towards your shin. Again, inhale, bend your front leg, lunging. Exhale, half split, sitting back. And last one. Inhale, bend the knee. Exhale, half split, pause at a sweet spot, engaging the front of the thigh. If you're a bit looser, you might slide the hands further forward, using the ground or the blocks, and then bow head to knee. One more breath there. And then inhale, lift your heart. Bend your right leg like a squat. And then you could place a yoga block just in front or just behind your heel. Leaning into your front foot, we'll come into sitting with that yoga block underneath the buttocks. So you might need a couple blocks, that's fine as well. I'll give you a different viewing angle now here. So right leg is squatting, and the left foot is on the floor with the knee out a little bit, about 45 degrees from the midline. And then engaging your core, bring the front ribs in. Bring your hands together and explore a little bit of inward rotation and then outward rotation in that right hip, going inwards and outwards. And last one, inwards and outwards. And now we'll bring that leg more towards the center, spinal twist. So we'll bring our hands towards our collarbones with the palms facing away from the body. Take a breath in. Now as you exhale, twist, pressing your left shoulder towards your right knee. Inhale, come up. Again, exhale, twist, core draws in, left shoulder towards right knee. And once more, inhale. Exhale, twisting from the core, push that left shoulder forward. And then you can take your left hand outside of your knee, reach the right arm back, and look over it. So it's almost like pulling back on a bow and arrow. Your left hand is pulling back on the arrow as your right hand is holding the bow. If you are a little bit looser, feel free to take your entire shoulder outside of your leg and thread the arm underneath the knee with the option of binding. And then inhale back to center. And exhale, let it go. Jazz hands. And then we'll walk the legs back. So you can slide the blocks out of the way. And we'll move back into downward facing dog. And then step the other foot forward. So for me, it's the left foot. You may have been doing the opposite one. That's fine too. Whichever side you haven't done yet, you can fold the edge of the mat over for extra padding under the knee if you wish. And then as you inhale, explore bending into your front knee, low lunge. And as you exhale, explore leaning back, straightening the leg. And repeat that a few times. Inhale, bend the knee. Exhale, leaning back. And last one. Inhale, bending the knee. Exhale, leaning back, flexing toes to shin to help get into the calf as well as the hamstring. And pause at a sweet spot. So you might be lifting your heart. You might be sliding the hands forward. Both ways are great. Focus on consciously contracting the quadriceps at the front of the left thigh. And then take some deep breath. Inhale to look up. And then bending your front leg, you can bring the right foot just behind that squatting leg foot. Then you might sit on a yoga block, or you might sit on the right heel, depending on how flexible you are around the knee joints and hip joints. And we'll start with the heart lifted. Draw the front ribs in, rounding your lower back a little. Hands together, and then inward rotation and outward rotation. And the reason that we're rounding the back and dropping the tail is to keep the hip joint happy as it moves into deep hip flexion with internal rotation and adduction. And if you don't know what that means, that's fine. You don't need to know what that means. Just enjoy the movement, feel it out. And again, if you're a bit looser, you might sit on the yoga block, or you might actually sit on your right heel. The heel serving the same purpose as the prop. And then we'll bring that leg more to the center, so it's in a squatting position. And then drawing front ribs in, hands to collarbones, take a breath in. Exhale, right shoulder crosses the midline towards left knee. Inhale, come up again. Same thing, exhale, twisting. Inhale, come up. And again, exhale, twisting. Inhale, come up. And then next twist, exhale to bring your right hand outside of the knee. And then keep turning that left chest open. Open up the left arm, gazing over the hand. And just imagine this was a bow and arrow exercise with emphasis on engaging the right side of the core. And this particular way of twisting is a really great way to protect your hip joint. So I had to learn this as well because I have some hip asymmetries and some scoliosis. And for a while I thought I wouldn't be able to do those poses anymore on one side, but once I integrated this technique that I learned from my teacher, Richard Freeman, it's like no more problems. But it did take some troubleshooting, a couple of years. And if you are a bit looser, you might take your arm outside the leg and bind either under the knee or around it. Same principles. And then inhale, come back to center. And exhale, release the pose. And then we'll come into sitting on the floor, bringing the legs out in front. Kurmasana, Tortoise Pose. Just as the tortoise retracts into its shell, just imagine your spine is the shell of the tortoise. You can take the feet a foot and a half in front of you. And with an exhale, slide the hands underneath your shins. You can clasp the feet if that's available. And take an inhale to lift the heart, looking up. And an exhale to fold, bowing the head in. And breathe. So let your head relax, let the whole body relax. And then very slowly inhale to lift your head. Welcome back. Exhale, push into your heels to activate the glutes and slowly roll up through the spine. And then turning towards the front of the mat, we'll make our way down onto our backs. Let's take a few moments to let the legs come up to the sky. Knees can be bent or straight. You can play around with it. Another option, if you are comfortable with supported bridge, is lifting your hips up from bridge and placing a yoga block underneath your sacrum. And then with your sacrum supported, that's the area at the back of the pant line, top of the buttocks, you can try lifting the legs from there. Knees bent or straight. Bent knees will really help you work more with the alignment of the spine to find ease in the pose, which is really the key thing. A flexible person just has an easier time getting really comfortable because they're able to straighten the legs while finding that same spinal position. So feel free to bend those knees generously. And take some relaxed breath. With the sacrum supported or on the ground, try bringing your knees out to the sides and see how it feels to straighten the legs out to the sides, just like a wide-legged fold. And then bring the legs together. A few more deep breaths from the belly to the chest. And then you're welcome to make your way onto the ground into relaxation. So if you were supported, you can come back to supported bridge, lifting the hips, slide the props out of the way, and then lower your sacrum to the floor and stretch the feet out to the corners of the mat. Soften the shoulders down the back, soften the face. Create space in the low back by scooping the tail forward. And then completely relax the body. So please stay for a longer relaxation, another few minutes if you have it. I'll close the class down now, but thank you so much for practicing, everybody. Hope this served you well.